Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And Fortune, the media, is who told the world today that the SEC is poised to file a lawsuit against Ripple, also naming Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen as defendants. Brad was the source for Fortune, and the SEC has declined to make any comment thus far. Should this suit materialize, it will have implications affecting all who call this space a part of their business life or their personal life, whether you are an engineer, an entrepreneur, an investor, a fintech company, a bank. This is of the essence. And first, I really want to be sure that I communicate something that is really what one must do when you hear this kind of news. You have to know that the SEC has decided not to support innovation, an attempt to damage the participation for cryptocurrency to be used in what is solving real problems. And so if you think that you're happy that this is going to negatively affect XRP, well, then I think you're out of step. This has ramifications on every digital asset in the ecosystem. I don't care whatever your dear leader is telling you, every digital asset. And this is a very poignant tweet from Michael Arrington. Those of you gloating over the US government's attack on XRP should take a step back and think about where this all ends up. There's no coherence or logic behind these moves. It's spite and fear. And that being said, as Brad Garlinghouse tweeted not too long ago, make no mistake, we are ready to fight and win. The battle is just beginning. The XRP army quickly understands that this action will most likely fast-track regulatory clarity. This action also says goodbye to the Howey test. That test, which was created by the Supreme Court for determining whether certain transactions qualify as investment contracts, and if so, it would mean it falls under securities law, subject, therefore, to certain disclosures and registration requirements. That's why clarity for XRP has been so important, and the lack thereof has been holding this particular project back. It is really slow to be adopted by banks, especially in the United States. That 1946 Supreme Court case obviously isn't enough right now for the SEC. And as General Counsel of Ripple tweeted, yeah, goodbye Howey test, hello Ripple test. XRP Darren covered this fact and kindly reminded us today that the SEC had set up a node. They actually run an XRPL node. And this really, when we see the video that was put together by Darren of Stuart Alderati, it speaks to the multitude of regulatory agencies in the United States that have not been able to get all on the same page. I want you to just listen to this portion here that's about, what, a minute and 40 seconds long. Have a listen here.
Smaller companies that don't have the wherewithal of Ripple to hire fancy lawyers, when they're trying to weigh into the space and they're trying to innovate, and that's ultimately what they're trying to do at the end of the day, they're trying to innovate, they're trying to create, they don't have the wherewithal. They're going to flee to countries that are more welcoming and more tolerant of the innovation and of the creativity. And by way of contrast, I'll just point to the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK, which just on July 31st, about 2.5 weeks ago, came out with their own guidance. And if you compare that guidance to the SEC's guidance, you can actually read it, you can understand it, you can work with it. I think you could comply with it. And the UK also says we're going to continue to evolve the guidance as the industry and the innovation evolves along with it. And what the UK said was that we're going to put these tokens into three buckets: a security token, a utility token, and an exchange token. And if you're a security token, again, if I sell you a token and I give you a right, title, or interest to my company, you're going to be treated and supervised and regulated as a security. If not, you're going to be treated as a utility token or an exchange token, or in some cases a hybrid of both. XRP was put in the bucket of being a hybrid utility and exchange token.
So I never, ever thought that this was theater. And I still don't think this is theater. And I do take issue with those that have that thinking. Of course, you are free to have an opinion, but I just want you to know where I stand. This is SBI CEO Yoshitaka Kitao. He tweeted out that the FSA of Japan has already stated that XRP is not a security. In the United States as well, we strongly believe that Ripple will ultimately win in the United States. SBI Holdings will continue to work together to expand its business in Asia as a part or as a solid partner of Ripple. Now, the SEC did file a suit against Kik in 2019, June 2019, and they did so over their ICO, their initial coin offering that raised $98 million. And they ended up settling that suit with a $5 million penalty, and they agreed that they would also give the SEC 45 days notice before it sells any of its crypto, which it issues on a distributed ledger technology. And over the next 3 years, that's what they're going to have to do. Kik, by the way, just so you know, is an Ethereum-based project. And the token survived the battle and has met no barriers to be listed on exchanges, which is a good thing to hear. Kik was rebranded to Kin and actually replied to Brad Garlinghouse today and said that we can understand your feelings now, Brad Garlinghouse. Kik was sued by the SEC for allegedly conducting an ICO in 2017 while being a security. However, now that it is resolved, Kin is the only asset besides Ethereum and Bitcoin that is classified as a non-security by the SEC and judge, as it states there. So what's up with Jay Clayton? I mean, really, what's up? This whole timing is so strange. Waiting years to do this, just before his early resignation is about to go into effect, which is by the end of this year. And Charles Hoskinson, he is, of course, the brain and leader behind Cardano, ADA. He weighed in on the action. He wanted to put to rest that everyone shouldn't worry about ADA. He sees it totally as not part of anything that ADA is doing. He also named a lot of other tokens like Tezos and Polkadot, and yeah, I know that it's not maybe going to directly affect them. Well, we don't know that for sure, but it does affect the ecosystem. So yes, it does touch them. It does impact them. It does. It does have a lot to do with everything. And you'll see here too, Charles Hoskinson says that this is the biggest thing that has ever occurred in crypto. He's very chilled. He has a really good thought process as he talks out loud in this video that he did for Twitter today. I want you to listen to just a couple of minutes of his thoughts because, yeah, I think it is good to listen to what he is saying. Move myself over here. Have a listen to this portion here.
But it is a a really puzzling thing to me that something like this would come out so quickly before one administration ends to another. It's just a bizarre thing. 4 days before Christmas is a bizarre thing as well. This is not normal behavior. Normally you do this in January if you're going to do it, especially if there were negotiations between the two entities. And it's bizarre that Ripple was the one to announce it as opposed to the SEC themselves. So I'm not sure why they wanted to get ahead of the story, but okay, interesting thing. So it was a shock wave to me. I was eating dinner, drinking coffee, and I saw it come up on my Twitter feed. And I thought it was a joke when I first saw it. It's like, yeah, I hear that every day. And then when it actually was a Fortune article, and there was a Wall Street Journal article confirming it, and a CoinDesk article, I said, okay, well, I guess this is what we're doing now. So 2021 is going to be a really interesting year. Likely a lot of lawsuits are going to be filed about the FinCEN recent ruling, especially the terrible process that Secretary Mnuchin is following. And hopefully that gets overturned. But if anything, at least a process can be followed, not an insane 15-day review period during the holidays. And as for the Ripple security thing, we'll kind of see what happens with all of that. A lot of facts are going to come out into the open domain because of this regulatory event. Specifically how much the main company is sold, who they sold it to, their business conduct, their internal statements versus their external statements. These are very revealing lawsuits, in a certain respect. And they are very large, and they're done in process. And they're slow and lumbering, and it's going to take quite a bit of time for this to work its way through the courts. And it's going to have an impact on the Howey test interpretation of cryptocurrencies in general, but I don't think it says much at all about proof of stake. I don't think it says much at all about sufficiently decentralized, other standards that are held. And given that the initial distribution event of XRP occurred more than 8 years ago, for statutes of limitation not to apply, I guess the statement would be that XRP is still a security today, if this lawsuit is to be believed and interpreted that way. This is not like what happened with EOS, where they took a position on the initial distribution event, but they did not take a position on EOS as a currency as it is today. So they could be a security, could not be, but basically they settled on the initial distribution for the ERC20 token, whereas XRP did not have that. And so if it was a security, if it is for this purpose of a lawsuit, then it's always been over the last 8 years. And it opens a lot of puzzling questions about exchanges and engorgement and right of rescission and so forth. And so it's going to be a big one. It's going to have a big impact on the industry. And I don't see how, like with Ethereum or EOS, there's an easy technical way out. It's one thing to say that there was an initial distribution, and while that was a security, the thing in market is not. It's another thing entirely to say the thing in market is. And it could create liquidity concerns for XRP, amongst other things. And it further pushes the burdens of due diligence on exchanges. So I imagine that this could create more conservatism with exchanges for listing new tokens, or force them to evaluate their existing portfolios more carefully. So by no means is this a small event. This is probably the biggest regulatory event in the history of our industry. And it's going to have a lot of impact moving forward. And we'll learn a lot more over the next week or two as we exit Christmas, and exactly what all this means for everybody and how significant it is going to be. This is not a new thing. This is a event that has been going on for a while under the hood. As I've mentioned, I think that Ripple's probably been engaged with the regulators for at least 2 years or 3 years in private discussions, and clearly something broke down in those conversations and those discussions. And maybe it's just going to be the case where after battling for years, they pay a fine, there's some paltry registration, and they move on. Maybe it's the case that this is the example that the SEC has been waiting for to establish case law, and they've carefully thought about it. They've been super strategic. Maybe it's the case that policy is going to so radically change between administrations that this is the Treasury Secretary's last hurrah to try to rock the boat with cryptocurrencies before cryptocurrencies become further legitimized. Who knows? It's an interesting thing. But given it's so big, I decided that...
Yeah, so I really appreciate the way Charles is thinking this through. We don't know exactly how this is going to shape up, but if you want to know how I'm feeling, well, for those of you who've been around a while, I think you won't be surprised with 3 words that I'm going to share with you that pretty much sums it up. 1, I feel very much supercharged. I'm up for this. I'm up for it. I also feel expectant. I'm expecting to have a positive outcome for XRP because this means clarity. And I am visioning. I'm really visioning the value, the experience, the knowledge, and the true grit that will be gained by every XRP holder out there. That's how I'm feeling. All right, everybody, we are jumping to some fluff. So if you remember, I talked about a little baby panda that was born in Wakayama about a month ago. Yeah, and they thought it was a little boy. Well, it turns out today it's a little girl. So they had, well, I guess it's very difficult to tell the gender of a baby panda when they are born. And so I just wanted to show you, yeah, this country's crazy for pandas. They created even the Kuroshio black and white Oreo cookie for the panda in Wakayama when they have a great breeding program down there. And also, if you want to find some Panda Ramen, yeah, it's doable. Look at that. That's cute. That's fun. But what I really thought I would share with you is how Japan, when they go deep, they go deep. This is very, I'm going to show you something that's just very typical of Japan. When they grab onto something like Panda, it then just is spread left and right, center, in every kind of way you can imagine. And this is just a train that looks like a model train, right? It's actually modeled after a real train in the Wakayama area, and it's a panda themed train, but a little bit more to it. They've actually taken on the UN Sustainability Development Goals as their theme, but using the panda as the main theme because everybody comes to Wakayama to see the pandas. Here is an example of the inside of the car. But you can see here these sustainable goals. What they did is they gave a body wrap, an outer wrapping to each train car. There are 6 cars in this particular train, and there's so many goals. So car 1 is goal 2 about good health. The car number 2 in the train is goal 5, which is gender equality. Then car 3 is goal 7, clean energy. Car 4 is the goal 10, which is reduced inequalities. Car 5 is goal 14, which is life below water. And car 6, the last car of that train, is goal 15, life on land. And I just want to show you how beautiful those wraps are. This is the in between, you're looking at in between car 2 and car 3, which is the sustainable goal number 5 and the sustainable goal number 7, which is really nice. It's one of those trains that the train spotters love to get a picture of. So there are so many train spotters in this country. And yeah, maybe I've become one as well. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.